Good morning, good night, good evening, my loyal subscribers, and today we're bringing you Alabama. So, right off the bat, 5% to credits, 55 to ship XP, 65 to commander XP, and then 100 with the clan. Okay? Armor-wise, she's 32 millimeter bow, 38 millimeter deck, 32 millimeter stern plating, and then side plating with a torpedo bulge is 32, and then a belt armor of 32. Okay, turrets are basically the classic American 406s. Survivability wise is 63,300 with a 49% torpedo reduction. Now compared to Massachusetts, that's 3% less, but the same amount of health. So you're getting a little bit more torpedo protection. Just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Not much though. Now, classic 406 millimeter gun, so very nothing special about them. 30-second reload, 12 second switch time, minimum 180 of 32 seconds. Max dispersion, 271, 21 kilometer range. Max damage for shells, HE is 5,700, 36% of fire, 68 millimeter armor pin, 803 velocity. So they're going to be kind of floaty also. Let's be honest. These are American guns, so they're going to be floaty. AP shells, 13,100. Velocity 701. So again, they're going to be pretty floaty. So that's pretty much it. Now look at Massachusetts guns. It's basically the same velocity all around the board. Just better dispersion with shorter range. So the question is, why pick up Alabama over Massachusetts? Little White Mouse does a really good job of this. The reason Massachusetts has its gimmick. Its gimmick being its secondaries. Okay? The secondaries being the gimmick of Massachusetts, being 4 seconds and 9 kilometers. Okay? Alabama's are 5.4, and spec'd into it is a 9.5 range. But they're basically the same secondaries. 1,800, 5% of fire, 21 armor pin, 792 velocity. Massachusetts, same velocity, same everything. That's literally it. So Alabama gets slower firing secondaries than Massey, but Massey gets like 1.7 stigma, and I believe Alabama gets like 1.9, I believe it is 1.9. I don't believe it's 2.0. I'm pretty sure it's 1.9. So there is a tiny bit of stigma. So the shells are supposed to be more accurate. Supposed to be. In all reality, that 0.2, there isn't a huge amount of difference. There's a little bit of difference. In terms of competitive-wise, that 0.2 is just a tiny bit inching in the lead. Just a tiny bit. But we're going with a very hilarious build. As you see, this is my Massachusetts captain. We stuck it on an Alabama and we put it into secondary mode. So we went full-on DOI mode in this replay for you. Airstrikes, she gets 2 of them, 1 plane in each, 2,000 max HP, 10 kilometer range, 2 bombs in a payload, 4,200 max damage. And that's going to come in handy in this replay. Absolutely. AA damage, actually very decent. 51 or 52 single mount or Lycans. 12 quad mount Bofors guns. And then she gets her 10 5-inch guns. So when we look at it, 5.8 range. Long range is 175. Short range is 312. Sorry, had a tongue twister. Short range is 368. Okay? Max shell explosion is 1540. Now, compared to Massachusetts, there is a slight difference, even though they are literally, interestingly, Massey gets more, seems like, medium range AA, and it's just a menace at medium and long range. Well, Alabama's more of a short range and medium. So there is that. In terms of AA ships, which one would I bring? I would take the Massachusetts over the Alabama. Absolutely. Now, speed-wise, 27.5 knots, 710 turning circle, 15-second rudder shift. Built into it, 14-kilometer detection. Now, bring that with Massey. Yeah, Alabama does get a little bit better detection. Absolutely, no doubt about it. And that is also without a concealment built. So we don't have concealment on this ship. So with it, I mean, Alabama is obviously a little bit more stealthier than Massey. Absolutely. With a little bit more stigma and not as good secondaries. That's what it really comes down to, is a little bit better guns, not as good as secondaries, and just a tiny bit more AA in its own department. It really is. The two ships are so close together. There's a Massey just takes the lead because it gets that extra AA and its secondaries. But in terms of the build we'll be running, we're going to be running a weird build. So we're looking at auxiliary armaments 1 for the secondaries and the AA, of course. Damage control mod 1. Secondary battery mod 1. Damage control mod 2. And concealment. Built into it, she gets 5 charges of heal and 4 charges of spotter plane. Okay? Exterior-wise, this is, well, the main one, and then you go to her alternative one. Personally, I like the first one better. But let's get into the replay and show you how Alabama does it. Hello, and welcome back to Alabama, folks. Now, we're on the new mode, Concealed Maneuvers, because I figured this would be a suitable test to show you how Alabama does it. Ops, absolutely, but we want to give you a more realistic perspective of how she does it. Bots are easy to anticipate. Real players, so-so. So, looking at the team, we get Kaiku, Concord Bridge, Kansas, Alabama, Lennon, F. Carleo, Mainz, Edinburgh, Kidd versus Lightning, Amalfi, Prince Oregon, Duke of York, Massey, Alabama, Amagi, Concord Bridge, and a Kaiku. And we are kind of worried about what's on the team. We got YOLO K in the Amalfi, and KSF in the Prince Oregon. And those two are the ones that worry me the most. And it couldn't have thrown us on a worser map, Okinawa. Okinawa, especially on this side, is one of the worst. It's a hard map. It is a very hard map. And I'm thinking, okay, let's go up around. And then I'm thinking, no. We're going to go straight in. If we're going to do this, we're going to go straight in. Because I can't think of a better way to do it. Edinburgh's going in to B, it looks like. And we're just waiting to see what the CV spot. Because it really depends on how hard I can push, depending on what the hell I'm seeing. But right off the bat, the Prince Oregon's in the south. That's a relief off my back, is that he's in the south. And I'm like, concentrate on him, get him out. Because the Oregon has, out of that whole team, besides the Massachusetts, Oregon has one of the best AA. You see the beautiful Wise Dragon, YOLO K, pushing in. CV goes into him. I anticipate him turning in. CV, he turns in to think to see if he's going to drop him. And then he turns back out. I wait for him to turn to fully commit. He commits. And the dispersion. You see that the dispersion is a little bit more consistent. And we do 35,000. We basically wipe his health out in literally under 3 minutes. Now, I tell the Edinburgh to get back because when he was shooting, I need him, and I'm telling him to quit firing. He's lost half his health if you guys were looking at him. You can rewind it and watch, but he lost a decent amount of health. He's against a Massey and a Duke of York. And Amalfi with the Sapshot. So, he can be focused. Massey, unfortunately, makes the decision to turn. And we managed to get a random Citadel on him and do 17,000 to him. Our Conquered Bridge is moving up really close. The Amalfi comes back into range. And we're getting pretty close in there. Massey does kind of chunk us back again. But you see that compared to the Massey, the dispersion is really favorable. And that's why I wanted to show you this outside of ops. Now, the AA, you do see that it is, like I said, it was short range. And at short range, it really does start to add up. Now, we're going right into a minefield. As you can see, there's a minefield right in front of us. And I wanted to show you guys how to deal with a minefield also. We got mines in front of us, so yay! But I'm not worried. I slow down and I stop. I drop everything in front of me. I do take a mine and it blows up my turret, or incapacitates it. If it blew it up, I'd be really pissed. My secondaries are going off. I drop the ones in front of me so it clears me a spot to sit in. I've learned from playing this and playing mines that if you're in a minefield, the best thing you can do is to get into the minefield and just start dropping your depth charges all over the place. Start clearing you a path. Now the CVs are attacking us, so this shows you how to deal with mines and CVs. There's the Massey that's literally right in front of me. My engine's busted. And it's like, ugh. I do get a fire on the Duke. And we put a beautiful salvo into him. 20,000. And our linen and everything down south does a really good job. And they were so nice to pick up that Massey. Because I was going to ram the Massey and take out the Duke of York if I had to. Now there's still mines in front of me, and I just drop them in front of me. Because my point is to literally just drop them in front of me and clear the mines up. And you see, the mines are no problem. Once you just slowly go into the minefield, you're basically able to, negate it. The bad news is I'm detected and I'm broadside to battleships southward. But I can't go full speed because I need to wait for the mines to get blown up. And since I've cleared enough of the mines to basically give me a avenue of escape. Even in this range, you do see that the dispersion is extremely, decent. It's not great, but it's not bad. Now, the Kaiku is still coming from... Yes, he can technically citadel me, but I'm not really worried about him at all. And since hitting my bow, which has been saturated so much, the damage is basically negligible. The Amagi gets a Citadel on me, so kudos to him. And the CV is, the CVs really want me. I aim at the Prince Eugen because I want him gone. Yeah, they really wanted me. And I just back up. My goal is to get as much of my health back and back up as possible. Fortunately, all those shells miss me and I'm able to cap. Now that I'm able to go back on the offensive and the mines are gone, I can actually move and get into a better position now. And being undetected and the cyclone kicking in, my brisk kicks back in and I can actually go faster now. Our Linen does die, so that's unfortunate. But he did a magnificent job of holding them there. He did a magnificent job of literally holding all those ships in place, preventing them from moving. And allowed his team to basically move back to get into a position to come in. The Kansas is there, the kid is there. And we're in a really good position now to really take the fight to these guys. We have wind conditions, but with the cyclone, we can push. We get a nice 13k on that Eugen. Any amount we do to him limits his effectiveness as a threat. Because he does have German HE, which does pin our deck armor. So he is a threat to us. And he's a threat to our CV. The Massey's gone, so he is literally the only thing that is, keeping his team alive. The bad news is he's maneuvering and he's in a minefield. The guy's in a minefield. Our kid is going near a minefield, and our Edinburgh picks up their Concord Bridge, so that's less mines and CV for us to deal with. And I'm aiming, okay, do I see him? Do I see him? Do I see him? Our kid's in the minefield right now. And he's dropping his depth charge, and he's just clearing them. And I just pop him all in front of the kid, too, to basically help clear his, give him a path. I had HE loaded for some reason, but it was enough. It was just enough damage to basically pick up the Eugen. We've cleared a decent amount of mines. But the DD did most of the clearing, let's be honest. Depth charges from the DD just wreck minefields. The trick of going into a minefield is to not move too fast. The slower and the and you can wiggle between those mines easily. You just have to maneuver just slightly enough to where you're not touching the mine. They're actually very dodgeable. I'm not really, because if I can take a Congress through a minefield, then taking a DD should be easier. Let's be honest. And DDs do have a good amount of depth charges, and they just clear minefields. Our secondaries are going off. I am angling in and trying to break him. Unfortunately, he's not shooting me for some reason. I'm worried about the back turret, though. The back turret could hurt. I think the Kansas already shot, but we are going to pick up this kill. Because we just have that faster reload. That may take us to 150,000. I'm shocked that the And I'm like, GG, because there's no way they can win now. I'm shocked that the F. Carlio didn't, farm that minefield. He's right next to a minefield. I mean, he has depth charge strikes. He could just farm it. If you're next to a depth charge field and you got airstrikes, farm the damn thing. Farm it. Get some XP off those mines. That's XP sitting there. It's free. Now, our Kaiku does die. And we're going to go and see what that Amagi looks like. At this point, it's less than a minute. It's like a minute and a half to victory. And we did a pretty good job with a hybrid build. And the Amagi's like, man, all kills are mine. Now, the CV spots him. So we know it's 8 kilometers. So we push straight into him. Kid starts turning in too, and we literally probably just both spot him right there. We'll put our secondaries on him. We get a nice 17k hit with 4 shells on him. We are extremely still tanky though. He won't get as lucky of, hurting us like he did when we were broadside to him. Because now he's all alone. And we're not distracted anymore. So we can angle into him. He does angle into us, so we bounce most of our shells. Which is unfortunate. But then he turns back out. The DD's going in for a run. We get victory. Can we pick up the kill? He gets his torps, and my shells hit him and kill him. Now, in terms of, our end screen, it's actually very decent. We made a pretty sizable profit, decent amount of ship XP, and whoa, Nelly, we made a lot of free XP. You'd have to do quite a bit of damage and ops to get that. But this is a really good display of Alabama. Would I recommend her? Yes. Do I think Massey's a better ship? Absolutely. And Massey is usually available at Black Friday and is able to be bought at a discounted time. So there's that. So I would honestly recommend Massachusetts. If you want something with a little bit more accuracy and punching power, Alabama. But 186k, only 68 target hits. 37 planes, 3 kills, 5 fires, 4 citadels, 2 assisted, 167 secondaries, and 21 mines destroyed. Now, team score, we did really good. We made 3,000 base XP. Edinburgh, unfortunately, we can comp, but I did comp the Edinburgh. I did comp the Kid, I did comp the Kansas, and I did comp the Linen. Because the Linen held off all those guys south. For all of us, for the rest of this team alive, to basically move into position to finish them off. He did a phenomenal job holding. Kansas and Kid worked pretty well together. And Edinburgh, despite losing a chunk of his health at the beginning, really did make a comeback. Going after the CV, getting decent plane kills, and being second. That's pretty good. Now, in terms of damage, 36,000 to Amagi, 22,000 to Alabama, 21,000 to the Oregon, 53k to Duke of York, 37k to the Amalfi with only 6 shells. That Amalfi was, like you saw, was rendered pretty helpless. And then 17,000 to the Massey, and then the planes. The Concorde wasn't much of a threat. It was the Kaiku that was the one that was constantly coming after me. He was most of my plane kills. Now, in terms of damage taken, well, it really was the Massachusetts, the Alabama, and the Amagi, but it was the majority of it was the Amagi. That really hurt. And the Duke of York and the Amalfi were probably the two that were killing me the most. But in terms, we tanked more than our health was. That's always a good sign. If you're taking damage higher than your original health, that's always a good sign. We take 1 torp, 1 bomb, 2 rockets, and 2 mines. Being the 2 mines were what blew out our engine and our incapacitation battery. So, we did take some damage there. In terms of credits, we still made over 650,000. Decent amount of free XP. Decent amount of ship XP. Some small commander XP. And then for our actual commander, we made a buttload profit. We made a really good profit on that. But that is Alabama for you folks, huh? A really decent ship.